This week I had a documentary, Ukrainian documentary called Checkpoint Zoo. This is one I saw flash across our little promo screens. We get things offering, hey, get a screener, do an interview, blah, blah, blah. They pop up on our emails. A lot of times I don't really get too deep into those because I'm not doing the interviewing part. But I saw this one and it caught my eye. The name was a little bit odd, but then the description was enough to rope me in. Checkpoint Zoo, by the way, is directed by Joshua Zeman. And here is the basic concept of this, which is another thing that kind of points out sometimes with a great documentary or with a really good documentary, you need a really simple concept or catch or something that is going to pull people in. And this is basically taking place in Kharkiv, Ukraine, at a place called Feldman Eco Park. An eco park, it's like a zoo. It's not like a full giant zoo that you get like in, I don't know, Nashville or someplace. But it is a relatively large zoo in the sense that it's not just like some backyard place with 20 animals. I think they have 5,000 or 6,000 animals. They have quite a few animals. But it still has that feeling of being somewhat family run, but big enough. And they have lions and tigers and bears, all the things, ostriches. They have a lot of big game and monkeys, different kinds of apes and stuff. So anyway, this little zoo is really close to the Russian border. And the events of this movie pretty much take place in the beginning of Russia's war and invasion into Ukraine. And if you guys remember at all, the history of Ukrainian conflict that we've had over there, the current one, the Kharkiv area was a real early hot point, and a lot went down there. What you see early on is a map. They give you a really simple map on the screen, and it shows the Russian front line, and it shows the Ukrainian front line near Kharkiv, and right in the middle of it is this little eco park zoo. So really quickly, you get a lot of the workers and the staff members of this zoo are worried about the animals. And I think they're all filming with GoPros and cell phones and stuff. And I don't know why they started to film so early, but for whatever reason, they were filming themselves quite a bit. And I think you find out very quickly that part of the reason they do it eventually is because they want to get the word out and they want to let people know what's going on. And they're hoping to have people from wherever kind of help them, because very quickly they discover this is unsustainable. If these animals are going to survive, we need to find a way to get them out of here. First, they're trying to go in and just feed them and bring them food every few days, but that's just not really enough to keep some of these big game animals in good shape. And very quickly, shells and various errant bombs and things are hitting this park. In fact, very early, it was one of their buses. They have a zoo bus it's wrapped with graphics and stuff for the zoo. And very quickly, I think one of the park members and the bus driver get killed by machine gun fire, like in the parking lot of the zoo. And the main, like, not headquarters, I would say like the main office, gift shop area of the zoo is almost bombed out almost immediately. But a lot of the animals are okay for now. And some of the footage is even within the first few days. So what happens in this movie is it's done in a fairly, I guess I would say, it would be like, it's done in a fairly conservative or basic style for documentary filmmaking. You get some talking heads, you get the people at the time talking about it, as well as the actual footage. It isn't just all footage or just all talking heads. You get that mix that you get in kind of a standard documentary format. One thing that kind of threw me off guard, though, is I was wondering, when we had the talking head segments, I was assuming, like, obviously if you're seeing these people, they made it out and they were fine. But then in the middle of one of those talking head sequences, you hear bombing in the background. You hear shelling, and they stop and they comment on it. The person does. Oh, yeah, that's what we hear every day. So you're like, oh, okay. Even while they're filming this documentary talking head moment, they are being actively shelled. So you get the feeling that the threat is much more pervasive than you might have thought originally watching it. This is one of those documentaries that really, I think, works based on the unusual facts that slowly unfold for you, and just watching such a weird thing, like basically the footage of the animals and the people trying to run in there, and they get a whole bunch of just off the street kind of people start helping them, people who are just in the area and want to do something to help. So it's not all workers that are experts with lions and tigers. Very quickly, you'll see the effect of that, of being an amateur just running in to help with all these giant game animals. And as it unfolds, I'm not going to give away what unfolds, but as it unfolds, it takes some really interesting twists and turns and things I did not expect. The ways they try to save the animals and places they find to house the animals for a while, and just the ongoing, like I said, pervasive threat of shelling and drones every time that they're in the park. The danger is palpable, and it really makes it a combination of a kind of a thriller, but also just a documentary, in a microcosmic documentary of the Ukrainian situation there. Because even though it's dealing with animals, you're like, why are they worrying about these animals? There's people that are going to die. They don't ever forget that in this movie. And when those moments come, they are striking. But by staying so focused on this one single place and this one single event, and just the anger-inducing effects of just what could be more innocent per se than animals. Animals aren't choosing to be there. They're not choosing to even be in cages, which there's a whole question of that comes up as well. But if they are in cages, as humans, it's your basic expectation that you'll at least keep them safe, fed, take care of them to the greatest degree you can. And to add this threat of war is just something crazy. And just to watch the people acting in a way that's absolutely against their best self-interest to help these animals makes it very compelling. I really like this documentary a lot. I think it's a documentary that has pretty broad appeal. It works as a anti-war, anti-kind of Ukrainian invasion movie. And there's one thing I won't spoil. There's a couple of things I won't spoil, but there's a thing towards the very end that's more human-based than animal-based that is really gripping and something I haven't seen. And I've seen quite a few different documentaries about Ukraine, but it's such a small moment, but such a huge moment. I might even do a tiny spoiler on it at the end of this. This documentary is very highly recommended by me. I'm going to probably go, I was going to go 4.5 or 5 stars. I'm going to go 5 stars on this because I think it does everything you want from a documentary. And I could recommend it to like just about anybody, unless you just absolutely are too squeamish to see stuff about war. And if you are, you should probably see it as well, because if you're that squeamish about war, you should know what's really going on in the world. So I'm going to go 5 stars on Checkpoint Zoo. Could not recommend it enough. I really almost want to talk about some of the spoiler things, but it's one of those movies or documentaries where the discoveries of what's happening are part of the journey. So I do not want to take that away from you. Definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a documentary fan.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.